Machiavelli never sat down to write a gentle self-help book. He wasn't interested in making you feel good or telling you to chase balance. He was consumed with one thing only: power. For him, power meant control. Control over reality. Control over destiny. Control over whether you would rise above the masses or sink into the sea of the forgotten. There's a truth most people don't want to hear. Focus is not a tool. It's not a productivity hack or a way to check off more tasks from a to-do list. Focus is a weapon. It cuts, it shapes, it decides who wins and who gets crushed. When your focus leaks away in fragments, your power dissolves. When your focus is mastered, your entire life is yours, or, if you lose it, it belongs to someone else. The average person thinks focus means working a little harder, fighting procrastination, squeezing in more hours. But Machiavelli saw beyond that illusion. Focus was the blade that allowed the weak to become strong, the foundation of domination, the path to being the one who controls instead of the one controlled. Look at a typical day. Your phone buzzes, a notification flashes. A moment later, you're scrolling endlessly through social media without even realizing what pulled you in. These tiny leaks don't draw blood immediately, but they drain you all the same, drop by drop, cut by cut. No enemy defeats you outright. You defeat yourself by letting your attention scatter. Machiavelli would look you in the eyes and ask, are you mastering your focus? Or are you letting it bleed away, piece by piece, every single day? Focus isn't gentle, it's brutal. It forces you to choose one path and abandon the others. It doesn't ask politely. It demands that you decide or you vanish into chaos. This is not soft advice. This is law. Whoever holds focus holds the world. Whoever loses it becomes a servant to the will of others. And now the choice falls on you. Will you use focus to complete meaningless errands, or will you use it as a blade to reshape your power and your destiny? The first law is clear. Focus is power. You don't fail because you lack talent. You don't fall short because you lack ideas or opportunities. You fail because your focus leaks out in 1,000 directions. A scroll here, a pointless conversation there, an endless list of shallow goals. Power scattered becomes nothing more than noise, but power concentrated becomes unstoppable. Like a laser, it cuts through any barrier. That is what Machiavelli understood. He taught the necessity of being both fox and lion, a fox to dodge traps, a lion to crush enemies. In our world, that translates to avoiding distractions and eliminating meaningless choices. Focus doesn't begin with adding more tasks. It begins with subtraction. Remove the unnecessary goals. Cut away the extra people. Strip down the endless tasks. Every act of removal doubles the strength of what remains. Imagine carrying a bucket of water. A few small holes are enough to drain it dry. No enemy has to attack. You are leaking yourself to death. That is what happens to your mind when you scatter focus. The weak believe they can do everything. The strong know they only need one thing. One battlefield, one mission, one direction. Power doesn't belong to those who attempt it. All it belongs to those who choose and strike. Look at history's giants. They weren't multitasking heroes. They were consumed by obsession. Alexander cared nothing for balance. He wanted to conquer the world, and he did. That is the truth of focus. It transforms the ordinary into the formidable. Not because they have more, but because they dare to let go of everything else. Power lies in selection. When you reject 99 things, you unleash the full force of your will on the one that remains. No one admires the scattered. They admire the one who channels every ounce of strength into a single strike. That is why Machiavelli's first law endures. What's scattered is weak. What's focused is unstoppable. Power doesn't belong to those who try to keep every option open. It belongs to the ruthless who make a choice, cut away all escape routes, and stand before the world with no retreat. This is the principle of burning the ships. The moment you torch every boat behind you, the only direction left is forward. The ancients knew this truth. Commanders who destroyed their soldiers' way home forced them into absolute focus. They either conquered or perished. No middle ground. That pressure, unbearable to the weak, became the fire that forged unstoppable armies. Machiavelli understood the same principle. Power never rewards hesitation. It crowns only the decisive. those who corner themselves so tightly that victory becomes their only breath of air. In modern life, your battlefield is not a stretch of land, it is the battlefield of the mind. And in this war, your soldiers are your thoughts, your energy, your time. Scatter them across 10 meaningless fights, and they'll be slaughtered before the first hour passes. But gather them all, aim them like one arrow at a single target, and you pierce through anything. Deep work is not just long hours of effort, it's conquest. It's staking out mental territory and refusing to let anything trespass. When you burn your ships, you send a signal to yourself that there is no retreat. All resources, all power, all energy must pour into one mission. Ambiguity vanishes. Choices collapse into one. And that singularity of focus is what separates the ordinary from the dangerous. But here is the truth that frightens most. Burning the ships is not recklessness. It is clarity. It transforms desire into command. It kills hesitation before hesitation kills you. Without a way back, your mind ceases to wander. There is no maybe. There is only must. The weak long for safety nets. They keep backup plans, just in case. But those safety nets are cages. They give you a way to crawl back to mediocrity. The strong rip them apart. They trap themselves in a corner where failure is unbearable. And in that unbearable pressure, they discover strength they never knew existed. Pressure purifies. Without it, you will always drift. With it, your focus becomes unbreakable. A deadline that slices like a blade forces you into action. A public promise locks your pride into chains you cannot escape. A financial stake makes every second count. Suddenly, distractions become your enemy. Suddenly, your mind funnels everything into one stream. That is why Machiavelli would never tell you to wait for inspiration. Inspiration is a traitor. It whispers, then vanishes, leaving you stranded. Pressure is loyal. It commands you forward, whether you feel like it or not. The weak avoid pressure. They chase comfort. But comfort dulls the edge. Comfort kills ambition. Comfort makes you soft. The strong build pressure like a forge. They know fire doesn't consume them. It hardens them. They welcome it because fire turns raw will into sharpened steel. Balance is the modern lie. People talk about work-life balance, about harmony, about spreading themselves gently across everything. But balance creates mediocrity. Balance weakens resolve. Balance breeds compromise. Machiavelli didn't believe in balance. He believed in control. Not harmony, but domination. Focus, real focus, is violence. It demands elimination. It doesn't whisper. It cuts. It doesn't negotiate. It imposes. Focus requires you to look at your life and begin slaughtering the unnecessary. Delete the apps that bleed minutes from your day. Sever the relationships that suffocate your energy. Burn down the endless lists of shallow goals. Leave only the mission. Think of power like a river. Spread across the land. It becomes a swamp. Dirty, weak, useless. But damn it, force it into one channel, and it becomes a flood that wipes away mountains. That is focus. That is why burning the ships works, because it forces all streams into one direction. People will call you extreme. They will say you've gone too far. But no empire was ever built by those who tried to keep everything. Alexander didn't pause to maintain balance. He devoured the world. Every great figure in history had one thing in common. Obsession. One goal, one battlefield. No retreat. Power belongs not to those who do more, but to those who cut away until only the essential remains. That is why the one who burns their ships commands respect and fear. Because everyone knows this person has no way back. This person will either win or die trying, and nothing is more dangerous than someone with no exit. Machiavelli's law is final. Better to be ruthless with the world than to be torn apart by it. If you want comfort, you'll remain ordinary. If you want power, you must choose. And choosing means cutting. Cutting means burning. Burning means never looking back. The world does not respect the scattered. It bows to the one who dares to concentrate all force into a single strike. Balance is weakness. Focus is power. And burning the ships is the beginning of domination. Always online. Always responding. Always available. On the surface, it looks productive. In truth, it's suicide for your focus. Every time you turn on notifications, every time you reply instantly, you hand over control of your mind to others. You become a slave to signals. Machiavelli knew the value of mystery. He knew power hides in absence. Mystery creates tension. When people can't reach you, they wonder. When they wonder, you become rare. And rarity is priceless. The focused must learn to go dark. You don't need to be seen all the time. You don't need to broadcast every move. Absence itself is a weapon. When you disappear, your presence becomes more valuable. Try it. Turn off your notifications. Hide your phone. Disappear for 3 hours each day. At first, your mind will panic. It will crave the ping, the vibration, the false comfort of constant contact. But when you endure, something shifts. You begin to command your own attention. You reclaim the fortress of your mind. Scarcity is a weapon. People respect what they cannot easily reach. They value what is hard to access. Go dark with purpose. When you reappear, you don't come back as noise, you return as a command. But going dark isn't the only step. You must also create pressure. Fire forges steel, and pressure forges focus. People rarely act from willpower. They act because they must. You cannot wait for inspiration, it betrays you. You must corner yourself with deadlines sharp as blades. Make your commitments public. Announce your intentions. When your honor is at stake, retreat vanishes. Put money down on your promises. If you fail, you lose more than pride, you lose tangible ground. That fear sharpens your edge. Suddenly, distractions feel like enemies, and every ounce of energy is pulled into one mission. The weak run from pressure, the strong build it. They burn the ships, then set fire to their own camps. They understand that the more unbearable the tension, the greater the focus. Machiavelli's wisdom was ruthless. Pressure doesn't weaken, it purifies. It burns away hesitation. It forces desire into command. It transforms an ordinary mind into a dangerous one. The modern battlefield is your mind, and the fortress must be built before the siege begins. You cannot wait for chaos to strike. If you don't build your defenses now, distraction will overwhelm you when it matters most. Start with ritual. Wake without grabbing your phone. Right before you scroll. Move your body before the world storms your gates. These aren't just habits, they are defenses. Walls raised brick by brick. Block your time into zones. A zone for deep work. A zone for recovery. A zone for strategy. Once the schedule is set, it is law. No negotiation, no softness. Each block is a fortress tower, defending against the enemy of chaos. Your environment is part of this fortress. A desk buried in clutter is an open gate. A home drowning in noise is a breached wall. Create order. Strip away excess. Every tidy detail strengthens the fortress. Every repeated ritual becomes another line of defense. The weak rely on inspiration. The strong rely on systems. A system doesn't trap you, it frees you. You no longer waste thought on what to do next. The path is already decided. You just walk it. Machiavelli knew. The stronghold must be fortified in advance, not during the attack. If you live without ritual, without structure, without order, you leave your gates wide open. And when the enemy arrives, you will fall. Ask yourself, are you strengthening your fortress each day or letting it crumble, brick by brick? Your greatest enemy is not out there. It's inside. The weak voice in your head whispers treason. Stop. Take a break. Don't be so extreme. It sounds reasonable, even kind, but it is betrayal. Fortresses don't collapse because of enemies at the gates. They fall to traitors within. Machiavelli warned of this. A stronghold rarely falls to invaders, it falls to treachery from within. And so it is with you. You do not lose because the world is stronger. You lose because you surrender to yourself. The weak treat discipline like a burden. The strong wield discipline as a weapon. No negotiation, no compromise. Orders must be carried out. Rewards and punishments must be real. Do the work, you earn. Fail, you pay. A warrior doesn't wait for motivation. A warrior obeys the law of discipline. Every time the weak voice rises, crush it instantly. If you let it speak, it grows. One day of indulgence turns into a habit. The world doesn't destroy you. You sabotage yourself. That's the worst collapse. Machiavelli knew this. Internal rebellion is more dangerous than external enemies. Master yourself, and no force outside can break you. The fortress within must be impregnable. This requires observation, not of others, but of yourself. Be your own spy. Track your habits. Watch when you're sharpest and when you fade. Note the environments that drain you, the times when weakness whispers loudest. Don't trust memory. Write it down. Writing draws a map of the battlefield in your head. Without it, you fight blind. With it, you strike with precision. Observation isn't judgment, it's strategy. If you're strongest in the morning, schedule battles for the morning. If you fade after lunch, save trivial tasks for then. Try, measure, adjust. Each week, review your data. Cut what drains. Double down on what sharpens. This turns focus from willpower into technique. Willpower tires. Systems endure. The weak live by emotion. The strong live by data. To the outside world, it will look like you have unbreakable will. In truth, you simply built a cold, ruthless system. But focus is not only internal, it must also become image. Machiavelli knew that power is not just substance, but appearance. When others see razor-sharp discipline in your eyes, they begin to believe it themselves. And when they believe it, you start to live it. Image creates belief. Belief creates action. Action reinforces image. This loop transforms you. Speak lest every word must cut. Walk with direction, no swaying, no hesitation. Dress with consistency armor, not costume. Carry tools that remind you of your mission: a notebook, a steel pen, a symbol. These are not accessories. They are banners of war. Others see your discipline and think you're dangerous. And you start to believe it too. Focus is not just in your mind. It must radiate through your presence. The weak let sloppiness betray their mind. The strong use image to fortify it. Machiavelli knew leaders were judged by their appearance. You are no different. If you want to control yourself, begin with your armor. Build the image. Live inside it. Let it train you. Eventually, focus is no longer something you do, it's who you are. When you enter a room, people will feel it before you speak. The question remains, do they see someone leaking attention or a warrior armored in focus? And beyond presence, there is solitude. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in exile, stripped of power, surrounded by silence. And it was in that silence he saw truth more clearly than ever. Solitude is not weakness. Solitude is the laboratory of power. Sit still, no screens, no sound, just you. At first you'll feel panicked. Your brain, addicted to stimulation, will scream for escape. That's withdrawal. Endure, and another layer opens. You begin to see yourself. You hear the true voice in your mind. Strategy emerges where noise once lived. Noise breeds addiction. Silence breeds command. The weak chase dopamine. The strong forge resilience. Who is stronger? You already know. Practice silence daily. 10 minutes, then 30, then an hour. Not to relax, to master. Every minute you endure stillness is another chain cut from dependency. Machiavelli understood. Power is born in darkness. Focus is born in solitude. The question is simple. Do you dare face silence, or are you still running from yourself? A circle of fools will drag you down faster than any enemy. Machiavelli warned that even the strongest king can be ruined by poor advisors. Your focus is not yours alone. It reflects the company you keep. Surround yourself with the distracted, and you too will scatter. The strong purge relentlessly. They cut the noise. They choose their circle like they choose weapons few, sharp and deadly. Friends of clarity, friends of precision, friends aligned with your path. Every conversation must add value. Every presence must lift you higher. If not, it must go. The weak cling to company out of habit. The strong keep only those who sharpen their blade. Machiavelli's lesson was clear. Advisors must be like assassins, few words. No hesitation, striking only when needed. Do the same. A refined circle will always be stronger than a noisy crowd. Choose your people as if you are choosing your fate, because you are. But discipline is never built on hope. It is built on traps. Machiavelli understood the power of public commitment. A private vow is light as air. A public vow is heavy as iron. Once you announce your goal, once others are watching, retreat is impossible. Pride and reputation force you to follow through. Set deadlines like blades against your throat. Pressure will do the rest. Pride will keep you sharp. This is Machiavelli's trap, to corner yourself until you have no choice but to act. The weak rely on emotions. The strong rely on constraints. Pride, honor, pressure, these are chains that bind you to discipline. Even then, failure will come. Machiavelli himself was betrayed, exiled, stripped of power, but he didn't collapse. He used exile to sharpen his mind, humiliation to strengthen his strategy. That is the lesson. Failure does not kill unless you let it repeat. One mistake is human. 2 in a row is a choice. The law is simple. Never miss twice. The weak let shame drag them deeper. The strong treat failure as a wake-up bell. They rise, cut the chain of mistakes, and continue. Habits are built by chains of actions. The strong never let the chain break twice. And above all, focus is not just about the day, it is about the decade. The weak see only the next task. They drown in to-do lists. They see trees but miss the forest. Machiavelli saw the whole board. He asked, "Where is this kingdom heading?" That is what vision means. Every daily act must connect to the empire you are building. Each effort is a brick, not random but part of a castle. Without vision, you run in circles. With vision, every step moves you closer to legacy. The weak chase instant comfort. The strong build plans that outlive them. That is Machiavelli's vision of focus. Not productivity, but power. Not short-term wins, but long-term domination. So the final question stands. Will you use focus to check off tasks? Or will you use it to seize destiny? Will you live as the submissive? Or will you rise as the one who commands? Focus is not balance. Balance is weakness. Focus is power. Focus is control. Focus is the line between ordinary and unstoppable, between the ruled and the ruler, between those who vanish and those who build empires. The law has never changed. What's scattered is weak. What's focused is unstoppable. The choice is yours.